The Galactic Concord has long dismissed the idea of humanity as an ancient myth until a strange silence interrupts their border scans. The High Council convenes, mockery in their voices ... and fear creeping into their eyes. They laughed. Then, they stopped at the convocation hall of Orion Prime, shimmered under the breath of twin suns light bending around the pillars of obsidian thought glass, where minds far older than planets gathered to debate the trivial. Humans, scoffed Archon. Tyrell, triple-eyed and throned in a neural cradle. Phantom species. Ghosts told in pirate alleys and drunk data loops. Chancellor Cave winced, antennae twitching. Then what breached the Selner wall last cycle? We lost 12 monitors. No trace. No debris. No exit vector. A silence passed, a rare thing in a chamber where sound was currency. Tyrell waved one claw lazily. A cloaked scout, Skith Tech, or Von Sabotage. Could even be a solar ghost, but humans? He chuckled, slow and grating. Come now, children's talies. Another voice entered, cold, statistical, absolute. The event horizon sensors showed. A gravity bulge. It was Director Jal, her body little more than chrome and will. A warping effect. Compressed time signature. Matching nothing. Except the last theoretical profile of a Terran blink drive. Now the hull didn't breathe. Tyrell leaned forward, neck plates grinding. Impossible. Blink drives melt stars. Even we never solved their logic paradox. Jal's voice dipped. Perhaps that's the point. 3 hours later, a classified transmission blinked onto the council wall. A battlefield recording. No visuals, just audio. If you're hearing this, your sensor net's already dead. That's not a threat. It's a time stump. A pause. We didn't want this. You kept coming. You don't stop. Another pause. Longer. So we did. The clip ended. 12 seconds. No known human language. Yet every translator thread across the Concord returned the same render. English. Play it again. Cave rasped. Jal didn't move. We've already looped it 4,112 times. No metadata. No origin pulse. It exists, and then it doesn't. Cave. Turned slowly to Tyrell. Still think they're stories? Outside the chamber, a drone hissed past. It wasn't Concord make. It was black, sleek, primitive looking, but its hull refused spectral analysis. Every AI touch returned gibberish. It didn't hum. It pulsed like a heartbeat in vacuum. No heat sig. No comes, no beacon, Jal whispered, staring through the glass. Tyrell exhaled. Where did it come from? Jal's eyes never left the void. It didn't come. It waited. Another pulse. One line of alien script burned into the glass wall where the drone hovered. Your assumptions are your weakness. The drone vanished. Not jumped. Not cloaked. Gone. Tyrell's third eye twitched. Send a fleet. Jal didn't. Answer. Now damn you. She turned, her expression unreadable. And if they want us to? Above a cold moon on the rim, the first Concord Armada gathered triangular dreadforms like shattered blades, lights like stars in formation. They aimed their weapons into the dark. Into nothing. Because that's all they saw. Nothing. Then a voice. Echoed across every channel at once. We watched. We warned. This is the last time. And one by one, the Concord ships powered down. No blasts. No strikes. Just silence. The kind that listens. The kind that judges. And that was before Earth even responded. Commander Elena Voss, operating in deep orbital black, monitors the aftershock of a Concord fleet collapse. Her orders are simple. Watch, record, never. Speak. But silence, she learns, is not the same as peace. Not when Earth decides to speak back. They laughed. Then they stopped. The chair didn't feel like a chair. It was a sarcophagus with buttons. Commander Alina Voss floated half-submerged in the black oil gel of the listening cradle. Her pulse sensed to the void, ears tuned to static older-than-light. No hum of engines. No ping from friendly comms. Just a constant, low hiss that might have been radio drift or the whisper of things watching from farther than eyes could see. "Voss, you awake?" Came the voice in her skull. Define awake. Define humor. Voss smiled, just slightly. "Permission to punch the neural relay next time I'm planetside? Approved in theory, denied in practice." The voice cut out. They always did that, little flashes of sarcasm before vanishing into the black. Loneliness was part of the design. Solitude bred clarity, and clarity was dangerous. She turned her attention to the relays. Primary feed. Concord Tactical Channel. 88.1. Supposed to be encrypted, untouchable. Yet her pod had been absorbing it for 43 hours now. No reply. No movement. No fleet. Just that last whisper. "This is the last time." Voss zoomed the signal window. 480 ships. Gone. No wrecks. No life signs. Just digital residue. Like heat on a pillow after someone leaves, or something. Her stomach turned, not from fear. From recognition. She'd seen this pattern before, twice. Neither incident was public. One occurred in the Ort Black during first wave testing. The other near Proxima V. The only survivor came back without eyes and muttered, "They warned us," but not in words. Voss checked the final directive embedded in her orders. Do not interfere. Do not transmit. Observe until they speak again. She zoomed again, and the void blinked. Not a metaphor. The stars vanished for 0.7 seconds. In a perfect hexagon, 6-pointed, impossible geometry. She blinked too, reflexively, and when her eyes refocused, there was something new. A ship? Or the outline of one. Not built. Grown. Its edges shimmered like heat waves. No engines, no seams. No lights. It looked like a scar across the universe. Her heartbeat accelerated. "Relay," she whispered. Not sure who she was talking to. "Run comparative. Scan any shape match in all known craft libraries." Pause. Negative. Closest match. Unidentified sonar trace, Mariana Trench, Earth year 2031. What? Result extrapolated from Earth deep sea scan. 71% structural similarity. That's a sea creature. That's a warship. 4 minutes later, it moved. Not forward. Not away. Just closer. Like reality was folding around it. And Voss wasn't afraid. She was ashamed. Because for a split second, just a breath, she understood it. Not the ship. The message. This wasn't escalation. This was pity. Voss spoke again. "Send word to Earth." No response. Override silent mode. Human authorization. Voss 22Z. Relay, confirm, transmit. Nothing. Relay, confirm. A flicker of blue. Transmitting will reveal location. Directive. Silence is survival. She stared into the void. You don't get it. They already know I'm here. Pause. Then the final cold line. So do we. Her pod powered down. 20 hours later, Earth responded, but not with words. With a single object, launched from deep-bore cannons under Antarctica, hidden for decades in a frozen protocol code named Exodus-13. It wasn't a missile. It wasn't a ship. It was a mirror. 10 kilometers wide. Perfect obsidian surface. Coded with one directive. Reflect everything. Absorb nothing. It entered low solar orbit without propulsion. The Concorde saw it. They scanned. They laughed. And then they realized the mirror wasn't passive. It was recording. Every ship, every transmission, every command structure. Their encrypted fleet language, captured in seconds, and sent back not to Earth. To their enemies. Back aboard the Concorde's hide chamber, chaos bloomed like fire under oil. They've declared war through reflection, hissed Cave, pacing. No. Jal said softly. They're still silent. Then what in all galaxies does this mean? Jal watched the data logs unravel. It means they think talking to us is a waste of time. Tyrell's voice shook for the first time in 600 years. Then what happens when they do decide to talk? Silence. And not the peaceful kind. The kind before a storm. In her drifting pod. Still alive by some sick joke of mercy, Thus watched the mirror move in orbit, not rotating, not aligning. Aiming. She whispered, "What are you going to do?" No answer, just her reflection on the obsidian wall of it, and something else. In the reflection, a second image, her, blinking, and behind her eyes, and that was the last time anyone saw Commander Vus. They laughed. Then they stopped, as panic spreads through the Concorde. Earth finally sends a response, but it isn't a fleet or weapon. It's a message. Just one, short, polite, and encoded with something only the aliens' own minds would recognize. Betrayal. They laughed. Then they stopped. The message came through a collapsed wormhole archive embedded in a piece of data debris that had no origin and no pulse trail. It shouldn't have been readable, shouldn't have existed, but it unraveled itself perfectly inside the Concorde Central Relay Array, using the Council's own decryption dialect, a language Earth should have never known. To the Concorde High Council, we apologize for the confusion. The silence was not anger. It was restraint. This is the only courtesy you'll receive. Do not decode this message further. It was signed Earth, and then the file devoured itself. Not deleted, consumed. B. Decoding drive turned to slag within seconds, melting straight through the server core. 7 observers died trying to extract it. High Chancellor Cave stared at the smoking remains, whispering, "What? What was in it?" Jal said nothing. Tyrell, standing behind her, stepped forward. It wasn't a warning. It was a test. A dare. They wanted us to try. Jal finally spoke. "No," she said, turning her black chrome eyes toward the others. "It wasn't a dare." She paused. It was a mirror, again. 10 layers below the Concorde capital moon, Agent Liveron watched the same message play on loop inside a secured psych chamber. He wasn't a soldier. He didn't carry weapons. He wore no rank. He interrogated threats that didn't talk. This one didn't need to. "Translate the metadata again," he ordered. The AI flickered. "There is no metadata. Every message leaves a fingerprint, unless it was never a message." "What?" The AI paused. "What if it's a perception? Key? A weapon for thought?" Livren stepped back. The idea was absurd, but so was a planet like Earth breaking the Concorde firewall with a tone of apology. He glanced back at the monitor, just as the playback began again. The silence was not anger. It was restraint. He heard something new in it this time. Pity. Meanwhile, on Earth, under a mountain that did not exist on any surface scan, Director Shen watched his command staff in silence. They were tired, sunlight deprived, retinas fried from monitor bloom. But they were smiling, because Phase 1 was complete. Shen cleared his throat. "Status of the neuromimetic bait package?" Lieutenant Kamari answered, voice hoarse. "Embedded perfectly. Concorde AI digested it within 60 seconds. Behavioral. Bleed began within 2 hours." Shen nodded. "And the phrase loop?" "Hooked. They're saying it back in their own chambers." He allowed himself a breath. "Loop it again, quietly. just enough to infect consensus lines. Kamari hesitated. Sir, that's... You realize what that phrase means in their language? Shen turned his full gaze on her. It means what it needs to mean. Now loop it. Kamari didn't reply. She just did a dot and across the Concord on battlecruisers. In council halls, among the paranoid and the devout leaders began whispering the same line. Without knowing where it came from, the silence is not anger. It's restraint. 3 days. Later, the first alien ship defected. The Torva Requiem, a Class 9 Concorde carrier, jumped to deep orbit over Mars and opened a non-coded channel. Its commander, a veteran of 17 campaigns. Decorated for tactical cruelty - surrender. No shots fired. Just one line of broadcast. We don't want to fight gods pretending to be quiet. Back on the Concorde Prime, this created chaos. Disinformation virus. One council member screamed. No, it's subconscious payloading, another countered. They're infecting our belief structures. Rewriting fear into truth. Zhao said nothing for a long time. Then, they're not rewriting anything. We just never considered they had nothing to prove. At the edge of the Orion Fringe, hidden in a vessel so dark its silhouette canceled stars, Captain Romeris watched the Earth transmission again. He didn't flinch. He didn't blink. He just listened. The voice didn't carry a threat. Number. Demand. No conditions. Just ... awareness. As if Earth had looked through him and decided he wasn't interesting enough to target. I think. He whispered to his crew, we need to reconsider everything. Captain, we thought they were late to the Galactic table. His voice lowered. They were already full. Then the lights in the chamber flickered. The ship AI collapsed. Again. The engineer turned white. This keeps happening every time we run the Earth data through core thought lines. It's like the ship itself loses interest in existing. Rowe finished quietly, and that scared him more than any fleet ever could. Back on Earth, Director Shen read the new Concorde response. It wasn't a fleet. It was a question. What do you want? He smiled, because this was the moment they'd been waiting for. Humanity had no need to roar. No interest in threats. Not when a whisper did more damage. Shen leaned into the console, began typing the next message, each keystroke like a prayer etched in weaponized patience. To the Concorde High Council. You assumed war. We assumed survival. Let's not confuse the two. He paused. Added a line. This is your last assumption. Then he pressed send. On 84 Concorde planets. The same phrase began echoing through political corridors and strategic bunkers, whispered by lips that didn't know where they'd heard it first. This is your last assumption. The phrase looped. It fed itself. A virus that wasn't code, but fear. And Earth. Earth didn't launch a single ship. Didn't mobilize a single army. Didn't fire. They just waited. And they weren't hoping the Concorde would attack again. They were counting on it. And that was the first lie Earth told. They laughed. Then they stopped. They're ignoring us, someone muttered. Vol narrowed his gaze. Or baiting. U.S. He tapped his command ring against the rail. 1-2 pause. An old code. Not verbal. Not electronic. Pure rhythm. It triggered a deep scan directive hidden in the fleet's backbone. If Earth was cloaked, hidden, shielded, this would peel it open. The scan bloomed across space like a silent scream and came back with ... nothing, not even weather data. Not even ground ... just a flat void signature like the planet was pretending to be less than real. Sir, Lorak whispered into Vol's cranial stem, we may be inside a dead zone, but that's impossible. Define dead zone. The AI hesitated. A field with no electromagnetic return. Not nullified. Erased. Vol turned slowly to the crew. This isn't a trap, he said. It's a statement. One of his lieutenants began hyperventilating. 15,000 kilometers below, under the Pacific Ocean, something ancient opened an eye. Not biological. Not mechanical. Something older. It had no name in any living language. But the humans who first found it labeled the surrounding trench. Abyss 0. It was not man-made. It was not alien. It was waiting. And when the Concorde fleet crossed a certain orbital line never published, never visible, it reacted. Not violently. Not quickly. Just decisively. Above, the Concorde ships began to drift. Tiny system failures. Auxiliary nodes blinking out. Guidance relays descended by 0.0003 degrees. Minuscule. Unimportant. Until they weren't. Vol leaned forward. Status? System drift in. 12 ships, someone said. Nothing coordinated. Environmental error, maybe. Still investigating. Vol's gut tightened. He'd seen this before. Not here. Not even in Concorde space. But in the wreckage of a species long dead. The Solari collapsed. An entire star gone dark in 3 seconds. Nothing left but ships. Drifting. He slammed his hand. Down. Regroup. Tight wedge. All ships full formation. Emergency redundancy links now. But it was already too late, because Earth didn't fire missiles, didn't launch weapons. Earth moved. Literally. The planet shifted. Not tectonically. Not naturally. The orbital data changed. One moment, they were above the Pacific. The next they were 3,000 kilometers off. The fleet's internal clocks sensed to a galactic. Standard went out of phase by 0.03 seconds. And in quantum terms, that was decapitation. From the Concorde ship Halberd Echo, a final message was recorded. We are not in orbit. We are inside something. Then static. Then silence. Then the entire fleet collapsed. Not exploded. Not disabled. Folded. As if space itself took a breath. 37 ships. Gone. No debris. No energy residue. No light. Just absence. In Concorde Prime's Hall of Reckoning. The silence after the event was not strategy. It was grief. Not for the dead, but for what had just been proven. They didn't stop us, said Joel. Tyrell's voice cracked. They didn't even bother. Cave, who had demanded the strike, now trembled openly. Then we have no path left but total war. No, Shal replied. We have no path left. Meanwhile, deep beneath Antarctica, Director Shen stood alone in a chamber not connected to Earth's satellite grid. The walls pulsed organic, like a whale skin. Ancient and cold. He wasn't there to command. He was there to listen. A single console awaited him. It screamed blank. Then a pulse. Then a word. Just one? Now? Shen didn't answer at first. He felt the weight of it. The decision they buried generations. Ago. He finally whispered, not yet. And the console went dark. Back on Concorde Channel 7. The public was told the fleet malfunctioned due to solar drift corruption. Most believed it. Some didn't. And one Concorde-born child, watching the static-filled newsfeed with wide eyes, turned to his tutor and asked, "Do humans speak like this on purpose?" The tutor paused. "No." "Then why are they so loud?" "We haven't heard them speak yet, child." The boy looked back at the static. "Then what was that?" The tutor swallowed hard. That was a breath. On Earth, the silence deepened. The stars above seemed colder now, and a phrase returned again. Whispered in labs, bunkers, and dream simulations alike, the silence is not anger. It's restraint, and that was before Earth even responded. We are not in orbit. We are inside something. The Concorde sends its last and quietest weapon thought-encoded sabotage designed to infect Earth's leadership. It works. For 8 seconds, then Earth responds. Not with fire, not with fleets. but something that ends wars without fighting them. They laughed. Then they stopped. The final gambit came in silence. Not a fleet, not a strike, but a thought coded inside an intercepted transmission from Earth to its Martian outpost. A subliminal cascade, Concord engineered, designed to detonate logic pathways in the human command structure. They called it soft death. They expected Earth to collapse inwards, crippled by viral paradox, unable to trust its own thinking. It worked. 8 seconds. And then every Concord relay across the Orion arm went dark. No power surge. No code trace. Just a phrase, fed back through their own networks and their own language, in a voice no one had ever heard before: return what is not yours. Some thought it meant the thought virus. Some thought it meant history itself. But Admiral Tyrell, reviewing the wreckage of their final PSYOPs unit, said only, it meant silence. Because Earth didn't scream, Earth didn't retaliate, Earth didn't demand. They simply removed Concord presence from 3 sectors of the galaxy. Overnight. No casualties, no warnings, no proof, just absence. And somewhere under the crust of Earth, the console pulsed again. Same question. Now? Director Shen stared at it, weary. No. He whispered. And the signal went still, because it had never been about victory. It had been about proof that humans didn't win wars. They ended the need for them. By making even the idea of resistance too terrifying to imagine. And so the Concord did the only logical thing left. They surrendered. Not with flags. Not with a treaty. Just silence. The same silence they'd mocked. The same silence they'd feared. And in the void between stars, something old and waiting and human whispered. Again, the silence is not anger. It's restraint. They thought it was mercy. It wasn't.